Duty, honor, country dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be.
The destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals.
Now, we are the masters of our fate.
Howdy, gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Wolf and Iron podcast. I'm your host, Mike Yarbrough, founder and curator of wolfandiron.com, and I'm glad you're here. Men, I want to say to you, happy Easter. As I record this, it's Easter week, and I wanted to do a special podcast episode just for Easter. Sometimes you guys know I do these things for you, but I also do them for me, and a lot of times I'm thinking I need a reminder of something. This would be good for a podcast episode so I can talk these things out and get them in front of the guys that need to hear it, but also a good reminder for myself. If this is your first time listening to the Wolf and Iron podcast, this is something a little special. Every other week or so, I try to do something called a man-to-man podcast episode, and that's basically just me talking to you guys about something that's on my heart, on my mind. And this episode is going to tackle the subject of Easter. But before I do that, I want to tell you guys about a couple of things. Number one, our Facebook group has been growing like crazy this last week or two. And I think we got about 1,700 members now. And what I love about this group, not only are the conversations over there really great, but we try to keep things at a high caliber of the guys that are coming on board. And we do this through just some questions that guys have to answer before they join. So a lot of people have applied. Not everybody gets in because they just either they don't answer the questions or they don't answer them satisfactorily. So they don't make it in. And we do this to make sure it's the guys that are serious about growing themselves, growing their families, becoming better men in all kinds of areas in their life that are going to be part of this group. And so if you like the content that's here at Wolf and Iron, if you like what's going on, if you're looking to better yourself as a man, if you want to heed that high call in your life and you got questions out there you just wish you could ask to other men to give you some feedback on, then you're going to want to be part of the group. You can do that by going to wolfandiron.com/the group, and that'll take you over to our Facebook page. You should see the questions out there, answer those questions, and then we'll let you in. The second thing is I wanted to give you guys an update on the things that are going on with Wolf and Iron and with Rustic and Maine as we move into a new space. And this actually ties in really closely to this whole discussion of Easter, although it doesn't sound like these things are connected, but they really are. So we've got this building that we're moving into. We're really, really excited about it. This week, starting on Monday, no lie, I've got an electrician coming out to get started on some electrical work out there. I've got a handyman guy, that's what he calls himself, coming out to basically do some handyman woodworking stuff around there, putting in some doors and some windows and things like that, moving some things around. I've got painters coming out this week. I've got people to lay flooring coming out this week. So we've got a lot of stuff going on, not to mention that we've got a lot of things happening that we actually have to put together. Like we've got these new awesome workbenches. We've got this awesome like dust collection system that's going to be coming in at some point down the road. So we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. So there's a lot of things happening. And the reason I say this ties into the Easter discussion is that all this busyness, all this good stuff that's taking place, I'm not really thinking about Easter, and it sucks. I mean, here it is. It's kind of snuck up on me, right? And before I jump too far down into this, I know some of you guys are big time into Resurrection Sunday, calling it Resurrection Sunday instead of Easter. I try to do that as much as possible as well. We kind of go back and forth in our family. We recognize it primarily, well, actually 100% as a celebration of the resurrection of Jesus, but we still call it Easter, and I don't hate on anybody that goes out and hunts for Easter eggs and stuff like that. I've actually got an article out there if you guys are interested in sort of this, maybe a way to approach the Easter side of things, which would be the celebration of springtime and a new year, separate from the resurrection of Christ. So you may want to check that out. You can get to that by going to wolfandiron.com/Easter, and then I'll take you out there to an article that talks about those two things. So I'm not going to dive into that right now, but I am going to talk about how we take these momentous occasions, these once in a forever events, such as Christ coming to earth, being sacrificed on our behalf, and then rising again, appearing to people by the multitudes. We take these incredible occasions that are just hard to fathom, really hard to put our minds around. And they become common, they become ordinary to us, and they really lose their value and they lose their meaning. We allow things like business stuff going on, or travel events, or Easter bunny and baskets and these other kind of things to get in the way of the amazing thing. We allow made up stuff. I mean, think about that. We allow made up stuff to get in the way of celebrating something that's going to impact our eternity. And I'm guilty of it this week. Just kind of give you guys an example of how readily our minds do this. You know, you're listening to this podcast right now. Maybe you're listening to it on like an iPhone or Android device or something like that. Maybe you're at work, you're driving to work, in the gym, whatever you're doing, and you've just been going about having a normal day. All the while, we're on this gigantic ball of rock and molten metal and water with this awesome atmosphere, spinning around at hundreds of miles an hour, flying through outer space, circling around this giant fusion reaction we call the sun. And we don't give that a second thought. And in fact, when you learned about this when you were a kid, your mind wasn't like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Are you kidding me? You know, I mean, it was like, yeah, we're all on this planet and we're orbiting the sun. And that's how it all kind of works. And it was like, okay, you know, that's reality. That's the way things are. And we're so quick to just dismiss the amazing and just make it so commonplace and ordinary. And we do ourselves a disservice. And I think that's why it's so good to have days like this or occasions where we're celebrating Easter. Some of you guys are doing this. You're doing Lent. You're Good Friday. You're kind of doing these things to lead up to it. My family doesn't do that. I don't really celebrate those things for a number of reasons, but I can understand how that gets you into the mindset of like, Jesus came and died for me, and I'm honoring that by doing something out of the ordinary, something unusual, so that I can get my mind around it, so that when the day comes, man, I'm ready to celebrate. And so I want to say, have a happy Easter. Have a happy Resurrection Sunday, but make much of it. Don't allow yourself to make little of something that is so momentous. That's all I've got for this week. You know, I appreciate you guys, and I always look forward to hearing back from you. And until next time, keep your powder dry, and may a fair wind be always in your sails.